Hi everyone, welcome to our channel. And today we have with us an eminent guest who we can call as a complete software developer. So she has been an intern at Adobe, she has been a part of Google SPS program, and currently she has been working as software development engineer at LinkedIn. In short, she has all the feathers in her hat in order to become a good and complete software developer. So we have with us Ms. Rishika Gupta. So welcome ma'am, welcome to our channel and thank you for coming here and inspiring us with your words. We look forward to talk with you and talk about and explore software development in detail in this podcast. So very warm welcome ma'am.
Thank you so much, Shashank, for having me, and thank you for such a warm introduction. So, I'm looking forward for the conversation.
Okay. So, ma'am, we'd like to start with a brief interview, brief introduction about you, like about the journey at LinkedIn, about journey at Adobe, and your experience in software engineering in detail.
So, let's start from the start. Since my college, I've been working in different fields, starting from as an educator, then as marketing head, then in UI UX designer as well. Then I started working as an associate software engineer with some startup. Then I started working more closely in the software development field with companies like Adobe, then Google, and then finally at LinkedIn. So first I cracked Google SPS program. It was one of the prestigious program by Google where only 72 students were selected all over India and I was one of them. And it was like internship plus hackathon kind of program where you will work on a project. And you will get mentorship from Googlers themselves and you will learn a lot about Google technologies. Then I completed my internship with LinkedIn as software development internship and then I got the PPO out of that internship directly. And in between the time when I was having my last semester in the college, I worked as a product intern with Adobe. And then I cracked companies like Atlassian and I also received PPO from Adobe as well. And I finally, because of the culture and the kind of people that are there in LinkedIn, I was like very happy working with LinkedIn in my internship period, and hence I like opted for LinkedIn as a full time opportunity. So yeah, that's like a very brief about my journey so far.
Awesome. That means like you worked with almost most of the FANG and big companies. So like how did your interest grew in tech? Like were you always from school? Were you always interested, or it just happened to being in a engineering college and then it grew slowly and gradually?
Yeah, so in my 11th and 12th, I was a PCMB student, so I had bio and mathematics and not C++. So when I get into engineering, it was mostly because my sister is already in engineering field, and as a role model, I was looking at her that okay, she's doing good, and I can also opt for it. And another reason was I didn't like biology as such. Somehow I have to opt it for it because in my school there was no option to choose C++, so I have to choose PCMB. So that the one reason of being a software engineering is because I don't want to go to medical field. I didn't want to go to medical field. So yeah, that is why I opted for software engineering. But when I came to college, as I mentioned, I was from PCMB, so I had no idea what to do. So my sister is from cloud engineering side, so she is also not really aware about the development things like Java and Spring and everything. So those things I have to figure it out from myself, and that is why since my from the start of my college, from the start of my first year itself, I started exploring different things. I started exploring different platforms, what is DSA, what is comparative programming, difference between the two platforms to get good in both the fields. Then I started learning about development, and in the meantime, in the parallel, I was also working on my soft skills through some internships, like being an educator with an academy, with some startups who are, helping young generation to get into tech. So that really helped me to improve on my communication skills. So since my college, since the start of the college, I was pretty much very enthusiastic about my career, very focused about my career. I didn't want to waste my time, and even now I don't want to waste my time, and that is why I keep on exploring things.
Seems like you worked on pretty much everything. So, out of all the fields you have worked on, what is your favorite tech stack or what is your favorite field? Or yeah.
Okay, in the session also I mentioned this thing that software engineering is not at all related on the type of tech you like or type of project you are getting. It's mostly around how you are solving the problem. So one problem statement can be given to different individual and all of them will solve it differently. So what is the best design you can provide? What are the different considerations you are taking into account while designing that solution? The implementation can be done in any field, with any tech stack. It can be Java or Node.js. I mentioned in the session as well. It's in my throughout my college, whatever I have done, it was on web development. It was on HTML, CSS, basically the main stack. But when I joined LinkedIn, everything was on Java Spring Boot, and the front end was also different. So I was completely new to the tech stack. But it didn't mean that I took time to first learn about the tech stack and then I implemented the project. Both things worked in parallel. I implemented and learned at the same time. So from my side, I don't have any favoritism in any tech stack.
Okay, so that pretty much answer my next question, which was like in competitive programming, development, cloud, machine learning, open source, there were so many fields in tech. So as the person who is in first year or like second year who is choosing about his tech or his stack, so like how we should choose our stack or how should we start with this, like I will do this for 1 year from now or 2 years from now, how to choose.
So basically, just go for one tech stack and
Okay.
focus on that only.
Anyone.
Anyone. It doesn't mean, of course, don't choose PHP like because it's like old tech stack now. But you can choose any between Merl, Mean, and Java Spring Boot. So you can choose any of the three and just focus on that tech stack. Because even if you start participating in hackathons or events, there is no restriction on the technology that you are choosing.
Yeah.
You can develop the platform with any technology. You just have to be well versed with that. And when you are going to work in industry, most of the time the company will have their own tech stack and can have even wrapper on the tech stack. If you talk about Google, they have their own databases, queries and everything. So that cannot be learned by any student because because mostly they
not
learn
available more in the
right.
market.
So and it's not at all a blocker on your progress in the company, on your growth in the company, because you then start understanding that it's not about the tech stack that you are learning or the language that you're good in. You at some point of time you will understand that language is just like the different syntax, how you are going to write the logic, and the syntax can be learned through Google or can be now learned by the chat GPT as well. So it's not at all a blocker.
Did you do computer programming?
Yes.
So like there is a kind of debate going on around the community, like should we go for computer programming or development? So do you have any views on it?
Balance of both. So competitive programming basically helps you to enhance your logical skills, which is very, very important in the part of hiring process. Because let's say I have seen people just start mug up the DSA questions because these are like some standard questions, and the list is available on all the platforms. SD sheets are there and everything. But if you are applying in an interview, there will be a high probability that standard question will be tweaked in some way, and you have to understand how it was tweaked, how you have to change your algorithm. Even a simple if else condition, you have to understand that thing in the interview itself. So if you are not really good with your logical skills, you will not be able to understand those minor differences that are there in the problem statement, and you will not be able to enhance your solution accordingly. So that is a logical skills are very much important, that can be very easily improved through competitive programming. But at the same time, development is also essential, because once your DSA round is done or you are done with the DSA questions, the next part will be your projects, discussion around projects or maybe some simple design related problems. For that you need some of the understanding of open source, how open source works, or how market standards are, how to develop something. So I would say there is always a balance between the two. You cannot completely neglect one and focus on one. Yeah, there are opportunities. Let's say um, there are hiring processes through hackathons. There are hiring processes through open source contributions as well. But if we talk about the mainstream hiring process, you need a balance
the
of
typical,
both.
the standard.
Yeah. So you need a balance of both.
So is only DSA fine, or you have to dive into computer programming as well?
I would say have a little bit an understanding. Like I consider competitive programming as a higher version of DSA.
DSA, yeah. That's
Yeah. So if you are good with the standard questions, you sometimes what happens, as I mentioned, students just are mugging up the solutions.
Yeah.
They read about the solution, they understand, okay, this algorithm is working with this question, and if the similar question comes, I will use the same exact algorithm. But in competitive programming, you mix and match different algorithms to solve a little more complex problem than the standard DSA questions. So I would say have a glimpse of competitive programming. Start participating in competitions on Code Chef is
Code-
like
Code
I
Forces.
think it's not there now properly. Yeah, but on Code Forces you can start, and if you are able to solve ABC question on Code Forces, you are more than enough for placements. So at least have some glimpse of how the competitive programming competitions looks like, how that experience is, and also one more thing it helps in. So interview is a time bound process,
Yes,
right?
ma'am.
You will get maybe 2 or 3 questions in every interview, and there's a limit with every question. So first will be a warm up question where you should not take more than 10 minutes, and after that there will be a medium, and then there will be a hard question. So the similar pattern will be there in the competition as well, competitive programming competition. So if you are participating in that competition, you will automatically get that thing in you, that how to manage that time between different type of questions. In competitive competitions as well, the first will be like a very easy one.
Easy,
You will solve
yeah.
it
Difficulty
in the
level
5.
increases.
Yes.